Hi everyone, my name's Rob Watson. I'm the module leader for TECH3022 Social Media Practice. And in this video, I'm just going to give you an overview of the key issues that we're going to cover in this week's lecture, the first lecture, and how you can find more information about what we're going to do in the module. Let me just write something down that I need to show you. I can get it right. So each week what I'll do is I will create one of these videos which gives an overview of the kind of key issues, the key topics, the main things that we need to be thinking about this week, and hopefully how it ties in with the reading, how it ties in with some of the videos that we'll be watching and looking at, and some of the social media campaigns and issues that we'll be discussing. Each week what I'll do is I'll produce some PowerPoint presentations, but I won't share the PowerPoint presentations with you because it's largely pictures and it doesn't really give us the detail. So what I will do is I will give you a set of notes. I won't print them out, but they'll be available online. And you'll be able to read the detail and follow the links of some of the stories and issues that we cover in the lectures. And to get the information, you go to, if you remember in your first year, if you've not followed on with this, but you go to the DMU Commons wiki, so it's wiki.our.dmu.ac.uk, and all the module information, the assignment briefs, the lecture notes, the workshop notes, the reading material, the video material, that will be listed on the wiki, and we can share that, we can adapt it, we can change it, we can use it for our own purposes. You'll be using the wiki quite a bit in your coursework. So the key issues that we're going to cover in this first lecture is to think about, it's a campaign that I've looked at each year, which kind of looks at the way that we think about processed food. And I think it's a really good analogy as processed food or processed media. If you can grasp how one works, industrialized processed media, then you can, oh, hang on a minute, this is how this works as well. So it's a kind of way of looking at something which is a media, food, processed food, and particularly sugar and refined carbohydrates, and the negative and very real impact that it's having on the health of Western societies. So we're looking at the rise of diabetes, the rise of heart disease and hypertension, and the rise of obesity. So we're going to ask some questions about this, look at how people campaign and frame the arguments and debates about these so-called foods, and ask and figure out how can we use social media to maybe find out what it is that people understand about their processed food world, and then how can we change their opinions. So we're going to act like a kind of campaign group. So I'll give you a bit of my story in about the past, about my diet in the past and how that's changed, and the kind of some of the reasons which I think are fairly general about the way that other people have been influenced by kind of food cultures, and some of the answers and some of the kind of claptrap that's spoken about things, and what the role is of some of these particular kind of negative so-called food products are actually impacting on people. So we'll look at the role of sugar, and we'll look at the role of refined carbohydrates, and kind of some of the alternatives as well. So there's a kind of whole industry based around the production of so-called foods, convenience foods, fast foods, which really aren't keeping people healthy. It's really having a negative effect on people's well-being, their welfare, their mental health, their sex lives, their sense of social status, a whole load of issues that I think we should be leading on. We should be figuring out what these things are about and saying, hang on a minute, how do we change society's view of this so that it can improve, be more sustainable, be better for everybody, and not just a few elite people who can afford a healthy lifestyle and can afford to take exercise and time off and things like that. So there's a real social need, I think, for us to understand this issue properly, and in the process we'll get to be creative, inventive, to have fun, to use our social media skills to look at a problem in a way which isn't formulaic, which isn't driven by a kind of mass media marketing process, but is something which is DIY, creative, the grassroots up, if you like, something which is part of a social movement rather than something which is kind of imposed by corporate bureaucracies, those kind of things. I'll get off my soapbox probably at the end of the lectures, the whole module. It's going to, for me, I get really sanctimonious about it, so just tell me if I turn into that person who's lecture. Well, it's my job, I suppose. So we'll look at some of these issues about things like how can we use literacies and skills and education. What kind of patterns of change do we need with that? How do we promote alternatives? How do we use the power of our collective intelligence to persuade people to change? And how do we use things like digital activism techniques in order to be able to make a difference, even in a small way, even for a small number of people, to try out some ideas about engaging people in a way that is positive, non-discriminatory, and which promotes a sense of general well-being and sustainability. So that's the kind of broad aims for the module. We will cover this in each week with the lecture sessions and the workshop sessions. What I'll do in the lectures is kind of rattle through the issues, and then in the workshop sessions we'll have a chance to go through discussions and to look at video material and to investigate. And part of the assignment briefs, which is available up on the wiki, is to do a lot of investigation. And a big part of this module is how do we do that investigation in a responsible, consistent and methodical kind of a way. So we're going to learn an underpinning in digital investigation techniques so that we can figure out what makes people tick, and then we can think about how we can use media to address some of those behaviours and goals and aims that people are driven by and have, which are crowded out by mass media, industrialised, corporate kind of media bobbins, that kind of stuff. So I'll post the issues each week. I'm really looking forward to having some creative fun, creative practice in this module this year, and hopefully you've had a good Freshers Week and a good reintroduction back to your studies. So I'll speak to you soon.